Hello HEMA friends and welcome to this new video. In the first episode of this series I talked about tournament anxiety. Today instead I want to talk about something that tend to hide from the sight of some practitioners. And I'm talking about the fact that tournaments are a completely different fencing environment if compared to sparring. Now, I know that by a certain perspective it is kind of obvious that tournaments and sparring are different, but this difference is far more subtle than you may think, and grasping it consciously sometimes requires a little bit of effort. Tournaments are highly ruled. This is due to a variety of reasons. A crucial one is, of course, safety, but most of the times the main one is related to the desire of the organizers to see a certain kind of fencing being displayed during the fights. A desire which gets in most of the cases betrayed by the complexity and exploitability of the rule set, and by the competitiveness inspired by the tournament itself. This isn't inherently good or bad. It is what it is, and you have to accept tournaments the way they are, and deal with them accordingly. Now, given the fact that the tournament is a very specific environment with specific rules and with a higher level of emotions and desire to win over the opponent involved, you have to take this into account while training for them. Training for a competition requires adaptation of your fencing skills if compared to what you generally apply in free sparring. In fact, my sparring sessions and my tournament fencing tend to look slightly different. The first thing you should do is at least to implement during your sparring sessions a dedicated time to work on the rule set. Fencing over a tournament rule set instead of following the unwritten rules of your usual sparring feels extremely different, and people adapt their guards, attacks and tactics pretty fast to the new environment, even unconsciously sometimes. For instance, if there is scoring difference, people tend to defend or attack more that parts of the body which give more points. The afterblow makes for trade of targets sometimes, and the right of way modifies the balance between what is best between parrying and counter-attacking in certain given situations. Now, whatever the rules are, you need to know which part of your fencing repertoire is best to deal with that environment. So, the first thing that you have to do is to read the rule set. Most fencers don't actually do it, and they discover things once there, which is not the best if you think about it. The second thing that you have to do is to train on top of that rule set a number of times. It doesn't need to be every single time, of course. Even something as simple as a sparring session out of 4 or 5 is enough to give you the info you need to know at the beginning. Once you started having your tournament simulation sparrings, think about what it worked and what it didn't work, and take this into account during the next dedicated sessions. Bit by bit, you have to build up a technical repertoire which fits that specific fencing environment in relation to your own qualities, such as height, speed, reflexes, and, of course, your standard fencing repertoire which you are used to apply. After working over the rule set for enough time and figuring out how to move into this specific fencing environment, you can do another step forward. Now it is time to build up some strategies. You know, while having standard sparring matches, every single exchange is a fight. The goal is to win the exchange, which means dealing with techniques and eventually tactics. But tournaments are different. The fight is composed by many single exchanges, and the result of the fight is the sum of all those exchanges that you are going to have. This means that you need to be able to relate the results of the previous exchanges to the approach needed to win the next ones. To put it simple, if attacking doesn't work, maybe defending would be better, and if the opponent doesn't attack, maybe provoking would be a viable approach. Having a vague idea of how to relate these things before entering into the field is a good idea, because thinking while fighting is, not as easy as some people may think while judging other people's performances, let's say. So prepare yourself with a simple strategy and be ready to switch tactics on the run only when it is needed. Another way to prepare yourself to fence into this new environment is to watch videos of people fencing on that rule set, especially the ones of people reaching the final stages of the tournament, which on average will be the one who internalized the most the various qualities needed to fence in that specific environment. Check for everything, techniques, tactics, stances, and so on. Now, I mentioned to train on the rule set once in a while, but of course, the more you are into tournaments, the more your focus may switch toward that goal, and you may decide to dedicate more time to train on top of this rule set or that one, to the point that you may spend a lot of time or all of your time on it. This choice, of course, is up to you and your club, but remember that fencing in a very specific, highly ruled environment is like having a walk into a park. It may be a big and nice one, but it doesn't give you the same freedom as having a walk into a forest. Specializing over a rule set may diminish your technical repertoire on the long run in search for maximum efficiency and performance. A price worth paying if your goal is to win in that environment at any cost, of course. In my personal opinion, if your main goal is winning tournaments, competing on top of more than a single rule set is a far better way of approaching competitions, which will make you grow more your overall fencing skills, strategic mind, and the repertoire of actions. Very good, people, I hope you will find this video useful in some ways. Thanks for watching as always. Remember to check my Patreon, link in the description if you want to support me and the channel, of course. Thanks for watching as always, and see you next time.